How is it that a battalion of over 800 Black women who helped change the course of World War II was almost erased from history? Well, the 6888 on Netflix shines a light on these women, and I had to talk about it. This movie opened my eyes to a part of history that I never knew. As a Black woman, it's frustrating, not surprising, to see how these women were devalued, doubted, and disregarded, yet they still found a way to thrive. Kerry Washington's performance as Colonel Charity Adams was phenomenal. And I have to say, Tyler Perry stepped out of his usual lane with this one. This isn't his typical portrayal of Black women, and I have to say, I'm here for it. So the film tells a story about the 6888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, the only all Black, all female battalion deployed during World War II. Their mission: sort through a massive backlog of undelivered mail that was causing low morale across the military. Now, this wasn't just a mailroom task, it was a challenge designed to break them. The Army expected them to fail, to prove that Black women were more of a burden than an asset to the Army. But instead, the women completed the work in record time. Miss Charity Adams did lead these women in the Army, but there was also Miss Mary McLeod Bethune. Now, if you ain't graduate from no HBCU, shouts out to Florida A&M University and our cousin brother sister school, Bethune Cookman, now University. So Miss Mary McLeod Bethune was the founder of that university. She also lived there on campus until she passed away. She was the one who advocated for more inclusion of Black women in the war efforts. One of the things that stuck with me the most was how intentional the efforts were to undermine these women. They were given inadequate resources, doubted at every turn, treated less than by their peers and superiors. The Army assumed that they would not rise to the challenge. But the mail they sorted wasn't just envelopes, it was communication lines. Okay? They reconnected soldiers with their loved ones, and they got a chance to boost morale in the Army, regardless of race, across all troops. And yet they still receive little to no recognition for their contributions. So the film shows moments of blatant racism, white officers dismissing these Black women's work, segregated living quarters, and even the threat of being court martialed just for these women standing their ground. This was the reality of Black women in service, proving their worth, not just to the country, but to their fellow soldiers. Now, let's talk about Tyler Perry for a second. This is not his usual storytelling, like Medea, over the top drama, the Black woman who suffers but endures. The 6888, that was something different. Because while this is based on actual history of these Black women during World War II, this was more refined and it felt more grounded. This was different than the Black women who I feel like their pain is being exploited in his movies at times. This was celebrating the strength of Black women. This is the type of projects I would love to see more from him because there's power in telling the untold Black stories. And Tyler Perry using his platform to amplify this type of history is monumental. I think it was such a great move. Another right move that Tyler Perry made was getting Kerry Washington to play the role of Colonel Charity Adams. That was a great idea. I've never seen Kerry Washington in a role like this, and I think that she captivated it wonderfully. She brought tears to my eyes. She brought emotion to me. I felt like she really embodied this character, who was actually a real life person, to Miss Charity Adams. I feel like she really embodied a woman in the Army. Like it was beautiful, and a Black woman in the Army at that. And it was this particular part in the movie, without giving it to y'all like the whole movie, but it was a particular part in the movie where Kerry Washington, Charity Adams, was refusing to let her military male white counterparts diminish her. And that moment, it made me really emotional. It captivated a lot in me, and like a lot of emotion in me, because I think that when we see that, we can all relate in some way. I think Kerry's performance captured the quiet strength of Black women who constantly have to fight for their respect. And I think we can all relate to that. All Black women, we know what that feels like in some way, shape, or form. We understand that. Just being a Black woman in America. Even today, Black women's contributions are often overlooked. Like I was saying, in the workplace, in movements, in history. I remember they tried to whitewash the Me Too movement, which was created by Tarana Burke, a Black woman. I remember all the stuff. The erasure of Black women and our contributions is not something that was just back then. They're still doing it. And I think this movie is a reminder. These women, the 688 Battalion, are a reminder of how Black women have always been the backbone, doing the work, even when the spotlight is not on them. Talking about resilience, you know, it I can't stand the "what don't kill me make me stronger," but that's really our story as Black women. What hasn't killed us has made us stronger. And in history, we see that, but it's the working together. It's the togetherness that actually, the togetherness, the consistency, the determination, the discipline of not allowing others who don't look like us, who do not see us as humans, who want to disregard us and our degrees. Because that's what they did to them women who had degrees, who had intelligence, who had knowledge, who had experience, who had skills. They really tried to devalue them. They tried to dismiss all of that and say that they were good for nothing. They went over there and took a 6-month job, what was supposed to be done in 6 months, and cleared it in 90 days. Come on, somebody. Black women.
Black women.
If you haven't seen the 6888, I encourage you to make it your next watch. These women deserve to be remembered, and the story should be shared far and wide. Now, if you found this video insightful, okay, this is not sponsored by Netflix. This is not sponsored by Tyler Perry Studios. This is my actual feelings about this movie. I feel compelled to tell you guys about it and to learn about these women who were almost forgotten in history. So, again, this was my first movie review. And if you like what you heard, if you thought it was insightful, you want more reviews on untold Black stories, historical films, uplifting stories, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things right here on my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Love ya. Mean it.
I would like to say one more thing, that I feel so honored that Tyler has chosen such beautiful women, such talented women to portray us. We just thought we were going over to do a little job. And here we are, 75, 80 years later, being honored in such a way. I feel it's just absolutely making tears come to my eyes, because we thought nobody even remembered us. And Tyler Perry has made it even more relevant that people are being made aware of what we did. So thank you. Thank you so very much for bringing this out and letting the world know about us.